convince them, right? So he finally said, well, you know, sometimes we have troubles in our life, like the time when my mother committed suicide. It was a horrible time in my life, and I knew I needed to reach out to Jesus. And then they all started laughing. After he had to learn their language. By the way, he's a linguist now who's an expert in their language. And their language, by the way, breaks all the rules. It contradicts a lot of things Noam Chomsky has said about languages. But they started laughing. And he said, why are you laughing at me? I just told you about my mother taking your life. And they were laughing, and they said, a human being killed herself? Ah! It was so totally alien to them. And then he's trying to tell them about Jesus. I want you to know about Jesus. And he's trying to translate the Gospel of Mark. And he's trying to tell these people, and they're just happy. They're just, you know, he says almost like they were at camp the whole time. They had all the fish they needed. They were great hunters and that. And he said, I want to tell you about Jesus and how he died. And then one of the guys said, did you meet Jesus? Is he dark-skinned like us, or is he light-skinned like you? And Daniel said, well, I actually don't know. I actually didn't meet him. You didn't meet him? Well, did your father know him? And Daniel said, well, no, my father hasn't known him either. Well, then why are you talking to us about this guy? You know, why? It made no sense to them. And to this day, there's no convert. There is no inborn need for humans to be religious. It contradicts. And a lot of people think that every group has to be religious. But I think if you leave them alone, like look at Denmark right now. Only about 4% of the Danes are religious. Look at most of Europe right now. There's no impulse or need for all of us to become religious. There might be a lot of people over here on the curve that if you feed them this stuff, they're going to go for it, right? But if you don't, I think education is a big part of combating irrationality. So I took too long to answer a simple question. But you'll love his book, Daniel Everett, and there's a movie coming out now about it, Don't Sleep, There Are Snakes, about his whole life in the Amazon, and it's scary. His wife got malaria, and there's some really fascinating adventures in that book.
But in a way, the number one thing we're all here for is to socialize. So the fast pitch is, when you replace the church, what are you replacing it with? Non-religion. How do you approach that?
That's like saying if you, what do you replace your illness with? I mean, what do you, I had cancer and it's gone now, what do I replace it with? You know, it's wellness. I gave a talk at World Religious Conference in Canada a couple years ago, and all these, like these 9 different world religions, including me, and I said, by the way, I'll come, but I'm not a religion. And they said, okay, world religions and philosophies. So they wanted an atheist there. The theme was salvation. And so they all gave their points about what is salvation, and they were wondering, what's an atheist going to say about salvation? You know? And I said, if salvation is the cure, then atheism is the prevention. Because sin is an invention. Salvation is a solution to a religious solution to a religious problem. Both of them are phony. They don't even exist. So what do you replace it with? Was it Francis Wright in the 1900s who said, replace all your churches with halls of science. Turn them into halls of science and learning. Your group, when you get together, do you all just sit around in a circle and just go, there's no God, there's no God. It's not like you're getting together because you're anti-something, is it? You're pro-science, pro-reason, pro-equality, pro-democracy. You're for stuff that you think religion is getting in the way of, right? You view yourself as a positive group working together for a positive outcome in the world. And sure, when you have a garden, you got to pull up weeds. There's got to be that part of it. But the ultimate aim is to have a beautiful garden. And what we want in our country is to have more knowledge in that. So you don't have to replace it with anything. You just have to be a human being. My son is getting married. They just announced her engagement a couple weeks ago. And her parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. And she's rejected Jehovah's Witnesses. And she said, they're kind of nervous that I'm marrying into, my son Danny's an agnostic, I'm marrying into this atheist family because they're afraid I'm going to become an atheist. And I said to Karina, atheism is not something you become, like joining something. Atheism is what you are when you don't become anything else. It's the default. It's the human state. It's not like you have to become in science and creed, and now you are now this with a capital A. Although for PR reasons, I think you can have a capital A atheism. you know, for the media's sake. But basically, none of you joined anything, did you? It's not like if you're a male, you don't describe yourself as a male with a capital M. I am a male. That's just a description of who you are, right? Maybe some of you do. And so atheism is just a kind of a description. There's a lot of atheists who don't call themselves atheists. They will say, I don't believe in God, but I'm no atheist. Which is because they are atheists by definition. So, what you did Thursday, right, could be a replacement for going to church. Instead of spending your time in church and your money and efforts on that, you were actually doing something meaningful in the real world. Oh, in the very back, all right.
Not to excuse my literary in the field of ethics and biology, but what are your views on like vegetarianism and like interspecies, like ethics and respect for that kind of stuff?
Trinitarianism?
Vegetarianism.
Oh, vegetarianism, yeah.
Like respect for animals or like that whole. What's your? I don't know about like biology and applying ethics to other species, so I'm always.
There's an awful lot of vegetarians in our group. There really are. We evolved, by the way, to eat meat. We have these canine teeth that evolved to rip open the flesh of other living things. That doesn't mean we have to. We can rise above our instincts. We evolved to be racist. We evolved to be sexist. We evolved to be violent. Any one of us could be violent if we evolved to be tribal. If any one of you were pressed hard enough, you would be very violent. Even you pacifists. If somebody's attacking your babies, you're going to do what you have to do, right, to stop that. But the fact that we evolved these natural instincts doesn't mean we are slaves to them. We also now have a neocortex and a frontal lobe that says we can rise above racism, we can rise above tribalism and sexism and above violence. We can check ourselves. And so we evolved to eat meat, but there's another way. We can rationally rise above that need. And most humanists that I know will extend value not just within our own circle. Humanism tries to take the circle beyond the tribe. The tribe was about 150 people roughly in our past, or maybe up to 500 people. And humanists try to extend it beyond the tribe, beyond the nation, to the whole world. That there's one big circle that we're all part of. But you can even extend it even larger and say beyond our species as well, and to respect other species. If you have a pet, you don't want to mistreat your pet, do you? I think that's another bell curve thing, though. I think some people, when they see cruelty to animals, they're going to break into tears. Or my sister-in-law, Suzanne, she's going to break into a rage. When she sees somebody mistreating an animal, she's like, ah. But other people on this side of the bell curve, it doesn't bother you to see animals mistreated. And those of us over here would wonder, what's wrong with you? But maybe that's just one of these things. And there's a few people over here who actually enjoy seeing animals treated. Don't raise your hands. Just and it's weird. There are people like that. Their makeup is like that. They don't mind hunting and causing pain and shit, but they justify it because our ancestors had to eat, so I'm just doing what, that's the naturalistic fallacy. The fact that it has a natural explanation doesn't mean it's right to do. So I think vegetarianism has good moral justifications and practical justifications as well. But our group doesn't take a position on that.
Are you a vegetarian?
I am almost a vegetarian. I will eat meat, but I'm almost at the point where it's bothering me so much that, and most of my friends are vegetarian. Our daughter, Sabrina, is vegetarian, so, and she's nudging us that way as well. And she wonders why, Dad, so, and she's right. I think she's right, morally right. So. Another question here?
Yeah. I know you have a lot of debates with different people, different religions, and different believers, and they usually jump to God of the gaps argument. And I know you have to study up on that kind of stuff, whether you go for the Big Bang or abiogenesis. Yeah. But I'm thinking that I'm wondering what you feel about abiogenesis. Do you think that gap will be closed within our lifetimes, or what do you know about that?
I think it will. Yeah. Look how much progress we've made already. Even decades ago, they were already creating at least simple organic molecules in the test tube. But the point is, even if it isn't close in our lifetime, it's irresponsible or arrogant to predict that it never will be closed.